Hello, I'm Full Paragon, and this is your guide to the Dark Fortress Golem Arena. The Dark Fortress Golem is obviously of the dark element, which means that he is weak to light. Unlike previous light arenas, which were somewhat balanced between light and physical, this one really disadvantages the mages. He has higher magic defense than physical defense. He uses a massive magic defense buff on the first turn, and when his ultimate gauge is full, he will debuff magic attack. Because this happens on the first turn or when his gauge is full, you can't use agility downs to skip it, which means I don't think the mage team is viable at all this time. On the waves, the first one has a very chunky minion, and then on the second wave, it's another chunky minion that also has the pocket healer. Obviously, you should kill the pocket healer first. You might be able to use Megamine there, but I think you're going to be better off with some hard-hitting, single-target attacks to take them down quickly. This boss will also only deal physical damage, so guess which tank is going to be really good here. Figuring out the absolute best team is a little tricky, but I do know which two characters are going to absolutely rule this arena, and that will be the Festival Darkness and Danmachi or Bestia Aqua. Those two combo extremely well together with massive light damage and some amazing buffs for each other and the rest of the team. Figuring out what to use on Aqua is a little bit tricky. Since Darkness gives a tier 2 agility buff, it's probably worth it to use the first version of her super over the second version, as that one gives her a tier 3 agility buff, which is only a little bit better and will overwrite that tier 2 agility buff. As for Darkness, it's obvious that you will want to use her Mask ultimate, as that will allow her to hit the boss, and the buffs that it gives her will allow her to deal significant amounts of damage. Alongside of those two up front, I think Matsumoto is going to be the best option. You're going to need a little bit of healing, and his ultimate provides that, along with some redundancy on the tier 3 attack buff. Even though Danmachi Aqua does have a tier 3 attack buff on her skills, without a lot of damage cut, it just doesn't last long enough to cover you for the whole fight, and I think using that alongside of Katsurugi will really get the most out of your team's damage. Iris is another good choice. Her light-based skills and ultimate will allow her to hit the boss quite hard. You can try using Eyes, but she doesn't really play well with Darkness's tier 2 agility buff, and she's rather fragile here. Still, if she comes in last, I think she'll deal enough damage to be worth including. Since mages just aren't a viable team this arena, I'm not going to bother going over them, and instead I'll talk about other options that would fit onto the Danmachi Aqua and Festival Darkness team. The first of which is Kazuma. You can use RP or Idle Kazuma here. RP has the advantage of having on-element attacks, along with a tier 2 physical defense debuff, which the rest of the team doesn't have. Both of them have Snipe, which is really good. RP Kazuma suffers from his self tier 2 agility buff, really not gelling well with Darkness's buff at all. As for Idle Kazuma, he has the advantage of having that weakness debuff, which is very, very strong, and thanks to both Aqua and Darkness having a lot of light damage, he can work pretty well with them overall. He is fragile and will die easily though, so watch out for that. You can try using Megamine here. I think Idle Megamine might win out just barely over ReZero Megamine. Both of them will need to clear out the minions and then immediately explode on the boss before he buffs his magic defense. Believe it or not, Arabian Dust is also sort of okay here. He does have a tier 3 defense down as well as an agility buff, which can be helpful, although he's just not the best character overall. Maid Rin works best in the last slot. If she can dodge the magic attack debuff that the boss does, she can do alright at filling gauge for the rest of her team, but overall she's not that great here. Some other options you can try include the Welfare Leah we got with this event. She's alright and does an okay impression of a Darkness alternative with her damage cut and tier 2 agility buff on her ult, but she quite frankly is not even close to as good as Festival Darkness. Light Erika is strictly inferior to Light Matsumoto, but she's fine to use if you have no other options. Godqua can sort of replace Danmachi Aqua, but the damage she deals just isn't even close, as it's all water versus all light. Yunyun is basically in the same boat with Maid Rin, where she's okay at coming in the last second. Her not having gauge up makes her not quite as good, but if you get off that light ultimate, it can sort of be worth it. Arabian Chris is the last choice that I would really go with here. She has a tier 1 versus tier 2 agility buff from Darkness, which is not that great, and compared to Kazuma, she's just not as good at the agility debuffing, as her ultimate takes a little bit more to fill. Still, if you have no one else, she does alright. That's the video, thanks for watching. I'll be doing a stream after reset on the second day of this arena to go over the boss's abilities and see just how high I can get my score. Hope you'll tune in, and check back soon for more Konosuba Fantastic Days videos and guides.